Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Tonight's video is going to be the North Queensland Cowboys team of the decade. So, the best 1 to 17 North Queensland Cowboys side from 2010 to 2020. But before I get into tonight's video, I just want to say that if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do. We're currently at 1,031 subscribers. The channel is doing very well, and I appreciate everyone out there who has supported the channel from the start and everyone who has supported the channel recently. Also, before I get into it as well, I just want to say that if you want to donate to the channel, if you want to support the channel via a donation, there is a link in the description below via PayPal. Feel free to do so. Personally, I don't really care if you do, but it's just there for the people out there that want to donate. But anyway, let's get into tonight's video. The best 1 to 17 North Queensland Cowboys side from 2010 to 2020. Now, for me, personally, this was a pretty easy list to put together. Most of the team anyway, because obviously I'm a Cowboy supporter and I saw this whole 10-year, I saw the last 10 years of the Cowboys players and some of the teams that we had. So this was pretty easy to put together for me. So let's get into it. So we'll go through the team, 1 through to 17, and then we'll talk about some of the positions. So, fullback, Matt Bowen. On the wings, Kyle Feldt and Antonio Winterstein. In the centres, Justin O'Neill and Brent Tate. In the halves, pretty obvious, Michael Morgan and the captain, the man himself, Jonathan Thurston. The front row, Matt Scott and James Tarmo. The hooker, Jake Granville. The second row of Gavin Cooper and Ethan Lowe. The lock, Jason Tamalolo. And on the interchange bench, Lachlan Coote, Scott Bolton, John Asiata, and Kane Lynette. And the best coach of the decade, I've been critical of this bloke before, but I'm going to say Paul Green is probably the coach of the decade for the Cowboys. And that's the 1 to 17 best Cowboys team of the decade. Now let's go through some of the positions. Now the fullback, I went with Matty Bowen. Now a lot of people will argue Lachlan Coote here, but I think Matty Bowen probably does just sneak in to this spot. He played fullback from 2010-2020. He played 2010, 11, 12, 13. So he was there for 4 more years in the last decade. And Lachlan Coote, well, he actually joined the Cowboys in 2014, but didn't play that year because of an ACL injury. But he played with the Cowboys 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. So Matt Bowen and Lachlan Coote both played 4 years for the Cowboys in the last decade. And I know Lachlan Coote's the only Cowboys is the Cowboys premiership winning fullback and all, but I reckon Matty Bowen was still pretty good in 2011, 2012, 2013. He still had it. I know Lachlan Coote was a good player, but I think Matt Bowen deserves to be fullback still on this list. The wingers, Kyle Feldt and Antonio Winterstein. Now, I think Kyle Feldt's going to go down as one of the best Cowboys wingers of all time by the time he retires. Still playing with the Cowboys still to this day. Fantastic player, very reliable. I think he'll play State of Origin football in 2021 if he has no injuries. He scored the match-winning try in the 2015 Grand Final. He's a freak of a player. I love Kyle Feldt, and we've all seen what he's done over the years, and he's an obvious choice in this team of the decade. The other winger was Antonio Winterstein. He joined the Cowboys, I think it was 2011. He joined us, leaving the Broncos, so pretty much betraying them, coming over to the Cowboys, and he retired at the end of 2018, I think it was. And, he had a really good career at the Cowboys, played on the left wing. He was playing on the same side as Jonathan Thurston, so obviously he was going to get some pretty good ball, and he scored a lot of great tries for the Cowboys. He was a very reliable winger, and I think Winterstein deserves to be here, and I think the wingers, Feldt and Winterstein, pretty much picked themselves here. The centers, Justin O'Neill and Brent Tate. I'll start with Justin O'Neill. He joined the Cowboys in 2015, I think it was. And, actually, it might have been 2014 he joined us, 14 or 15. Anyway, his first year with us, he played really well with the Cowboys. When he came to us from Melbourne, he was a strike centre. He played on the right side, had a good combination with Kyle Feldt. And, I thought he played really well with us, and he's still playing with us to this day. I think he's only got probably a year or two left in him before he retires. I think he's getting a bit slower at the game of rugby league right now. He's getting a bit quick. And I don't know if Justin O'Neill still goes what it takes. But as for the last 10 years or so, he's done a good job, Justin O'Neill. I thought he played well. In the 2015 Grand Final, he won the Grand Final with us in the centres. And having a look at his time at the Cowboys since he's joined us, I think he's done very well, and I think he deserves to be in the team of the decade. And the other centre is Brent Tate. Now, he joined us, I think it was 2011. I think it was 2011 he joined us. And Brent Tate played pretty well with the Cowboys. It wasn't wasn't a long-term thing because I think he retired at the end of 2013. But Brent Tate had maybe 2014. I can't remember what year Brent Tate retired, but he had a pretty good run with the Cowboys, Brent Tate. He played quite well with us. Definitely was at the back end of his career, but he still showed what it takes. And I think in most people's Cowboys team of the decade, Brent Tate's going to be there. So I think if you have a look at what he did with the Cowboys, I think he deserves to be in the team of the decade. With the Cowboys, the halves, I don't need to say much about this. Michael Morgan and Jonathan Thurston. Michael Morgan debuted with the Cowboys in 2010 as a young kid. Didn't really become a full-time... He didn't really get a full-time spot in the halves with the Cowboys until 2013, 2012. But, Michael Morgan's done pretty much everything he can do with the Cowboys, and he's a no-brainer in this one. And the other one, well, in my opinion, probably the greatest player that we've all ever seen, along with blokes like Cameron Smith. I think Jonathan Thurston is probably the first one picked in this team of the decade, probably the first one picked in anyone's team of the decade. And I'm not going to sit here all night and bore you guys with the accolades that all the achievements he's done, because we'll be here to bloody midnight. But Jonathan Thurston, what a career, 4 Dally M's, and he's done everything in the game. Got the Cowboys their first premiership, and I think he's pretty much a no-brainer here. The front row, Matt Scott and James Tarmo. Now, Matt Scott, one of the great Cowboys players, a one-club player, debuted for the Cowboys in 2007, I believe, and played State of Origin a couple of years later, and he's been a very loyal Cowboys front row over the years. He's a very good leader on and off the field. He's a club legend, and he's just an absolute legend. Matt Scott, I love him, and he's a bit like Thurston. He's one of the first picked here, and he's a no-brainer on this list. And the other front rower is James Tarmo. Now, he left the Cowboys at the end of 2016, I think it was, and he went to Penrith. And, sadly, he went down there to join the Chins of the Clearys. But Tarmo, a pretty tough player for the Cowboys. He obviously, he played the ball when the Cowboys kicked the field goal to win the first premiership. And, he scored a try in that grand final for us as well. So, I think Tarmo deserves a bit of recognition here. He was at the Cowboys for a very long time, and then he ended up going to Penrith. Now he's gone to the West Tigers. But I think Tarmo deserves to be in this team of the decade. The hooker is Jake Granville. A lot of people want to say Aaron Payne, but Aaron Payne was at the back end of his career, and he wasn't really that good as he was getting close to retirement. But I think Jake Granville, he joined us in 2015, I think it was, and he's been pretty good for us. He was arguably one of the best players on the field for us in that grand final against Brisbane. And he's still playing with us to this day, Jake Granville. And I think he's been the only hooker that's really been starting for the last 5 or 6 years or so with us recently. Reece Robson's been the hooker, but Jake Granville deserves to be the hooker of the decade for the Cowboys, in my opinion. The back row, Gavin Cooper and Ethan Lowe. Gavin Cooper played on the left edge with Jonathan Thurston. I can't say much more about Gavin Cooper. His career's been fantastic. He retired at the end of 2019, and I think he deserves to be here. Oh no, 2020. What am I talking about? He just retired recently. What am I on about? But Gavin Cooper, the combination between him and Jonathan Thurston was lethal for so many years. The defensive line from the opposition was so nervous. Gavin Cooper, a great player at the Cowboys, and he definitely deserves to be in this team of the decade. He was a good try scorer as well. And, Gavin Cooper deserves to be on this list. The other back row was Ethan Lowe. Now, Ethan Lowe was a pretty easy one to put in there, because if you have a look at the other back row, the other side of the back row, there wasn't many to choose from the Cowboys, but Ethan Lowe was a hard player with the Cowboys. He was a very tough player with us. He played on the right side. He had a good combination with Michael Morgan when the Cowboys were at their peak, when they were winning grand finals and making top fours year in, year out. Ethan Lowe was a a very good player for us. He was very dangerous on the right side of the field, and I think he deserves to be here as well. Ethan Lowy played quite well when he was at the Cowboys. The lock, probably the best forward that's ever played for the Cowboys, Jason Taumalolo. You could argue Matt Scott, but I think Taumalolo's already overtaken Matt Scott as in terms of the best forward that the Cowboys have ever had. I think Taumalolo will probably go down as the best lock to play the game since probably Bradley Clyde. But Taumalolo, a bit like Thurston. Not much more I can say about Taumalolo. He's won a Dally M. He's won a grand final. He led Tonga to a win over against Australia in 2018. He's done a lot for the Cowboys, Taumalolo. He's a one-club player, and he's a very loyal player, and I love him. He's just a beast. So Taumalolo's the lock. Now onto the bench. Lachlan Coote makes the bench. Now Lachlan Coote is the Cowboys' premiership-winning fullback in 2015, the only fullback to ever win a grand final for us. Matt Bowen was a bit unlucky, but Lachlan Coote, very good player. He's still playing really well over there for St. Helens in the Super League. Very reliable fullback, Lachlan Coote. He wasn't afraid to, he wasn't afraid to put his body on the line, and he was a very safe fullback. He always knew where the ball was going to go, and I thought he was really good at the Cowboys. He's 4 or 5 years at the Cowboys, Lachlan Coote, so I think he deserves to be on the bench here for us. The other front row, Scott Bolton and John Asiata. Now, Scott Bolton, a one-club player. I think he debuted in 2007 as well with the Cowboys. And Scotty Bolton, a very loyal player, a very tough player. I don't think he played any State of Origin football or anything, but he would have had to have been close to playing for Queensland, Scott Bolton. But a very tough player, Scott Bolton. I think he deserves to be here as well. And John Asiata, a very versatile forward, played with us for quite some time now. He's gone off to the Broncos, so he's turned our back on the Cowboys and gone to the Brisbane Scum. But John Asiata, a very good player at the Cowboys for so many years, played in the halves a couple of times, more of a lock front rower. And I think John Asiata deserves to be here as well. And the other one is Kane Lynette. Now, Kane Lynette is a bloke that I was never a big fan of at the Cowboys, but he played so many games with the Cowboys on the left side with Thurston Cooper and Antonio Winterstein. He was playing with a good combination there. He tended to get under my skin a fair bit, like in the 2015 grand final where Thurston threw the ball to him with 10 minutes to go. He dropped the ball over the line. That was pretty frustrating. And, he's had a couple of bludgy moments over the years, Kane Lynette, but a very loyal player. He's playing over with Hull KO at the moment over in the Super League, and I think he's playing back row now, Kane Lynette, but he was a very good player at the Cowboys, very underrated compared to the other centers in the game, and I think Kane Lynette deserves to be here as well. But guys, that's my 1-17 Cowboys team of the decade. Now, the coach of the decade, I'm going to go with Paul Green. Now, look, I've been pretty critical of Paul Green the last year or two. Obvious reasons, the Cowboys have gone backwards, and he didn't do a great job with us. But when he came to us in 2014, we finished 5th that year. We went out the second week against the Roosters in controversial fashion. Then the next year, we finished 3rd, won the grand final. So he was our first coach to win a premiership. Then the next year, we finished in 4th position, made it all the way to the preliminary final. And then 2017, he got us to the grand final from 8th spot. And then after that, he just did nothing. But I think Paul Green's probably the best Cowboys coach of the decade. And I think he deserves to be named the coach of the decade for the Cowboys from 2010 to 2020. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up the Cowboys team of the decade video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your team of the decade of the Cowboys in the comment section below. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up tonight's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Have a fantastic Friday night, guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for another video. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later.